Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Local Film Talk. We got a really special episode for you today. We're going to be talking to Camden Watts about her new website, crowdfundyourfilm.com. This was the first time we ever recorded an interview using a Google Hangout, and as sometimes happens when you try something for the first time, you run into technical difficulties. Well, in this case, it didn't record any of my video. So you're not going to see me at all in this one. It got my audio so you can hear me asking questions and stuff, but the only video it picked up was from Camden's webcam. So that's the story with that, but I think we still got a really good episode for you. I think you're going to dig it. I think there's a lot of great information there, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. This is a new one for us. We're actually doing a Google Hangout. I'm in my office, and I'm talking to the lovely, the talented Camden Watts about her latest project, which is actually a e-class. Isn't that what you called it, an e-class?
Yes, it's an e-class or a digital course. There are a lot of different names for it, but it's basically a class online.
Okay. And your topic is helping other filmmakers wade through the craziness of trying to get your project crowdfunded and using all these different programs like Kickstarter and everything, right?
Exactly. It is a course just for filmmakers, and it's all about crowdfunding. And you're exactly right. It is a way to learn what you need to know so you can get going as quickly as possible.
Okay. So how did you come up with this idea?
Crowdfunding came around when I was working on my first feature length, and I got really excited thinking that we could crowdfund the finishing of that film. But the more I studied it, the more I realized that project wasn't right for crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. But I got really obsessive about it, and I started reading and researching absolutely everything I could digest about it. Okay. And I started contributing to other campaigns so I could learn how to do it right, with the idea that I might need to do it one day. And so when we started crowdfunding, we started talking about crowdfunding for one of my next documentaries, and we launched a campaign, and I realized no matter how long I had prepared, I still had a lot to learn. Mm-hmm. And over the course of that process, I realized there's absolutely no way to learn this quickly. Wouldn't it be great if you could sit down and take a class on how to do it so that you don't have to work so hard to learn it?
No, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that way you can actually go do it without stressing about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's how this course was born. It's a way to serve my fellow filmmakers so that they don't have to struggle as hard as I did to learn how to do it. So
when you said you thought about this for your first feature, which must have been a couple of years ago, so I imagine crowdfunding was, or at least as far as we know it now with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, was kind of in its infancy at the time. So from the time that you first started looking at it to the time that you actually made use of it for your documentary feature, I bet things have evolved quite a bit in the way it's done.
They really have. Now, Kickstarter actually has a lot more legitimacy. And not just Kickstarter, all crowdfunding online. People kind of know what it is. They know the gist of what happens when they contribute. You know, kind of get it. In 2009, it was very early, and not many people knew what it was. Mm-hmm. But it's changed a lot since then.
Right. Well, and that's the problem with a new platform, is that it's going to, all the publicity it gets is going to be for the sensational stories. You know, Spike Lee decides to fund his next movie using Kickstarter rather than getting studio money. Some guy raises $15,000 to make a bowl of potato salad. You know? And that's the kind of stuff the general public hears, but they don't hear the more practical stuff, you know, like you're saying, where you want to raise $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to make a film.
Exactly.
So, but that's something you had to figure out on your own, and you say you spent 5 years doing that research before you actually even started the campaign?
Yes, and I don't recommend doing that.
That's the hard way. That's how you pioneer a process.
Yeah, and it was really difficult. And I felt lost all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
never, you read everybody's recommendations, but you don't really know who to follow and who to trust. And,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're constantly banging your head against the wall to try to learn how to do it, and failing, not miserably, but
Mm-hmm.
learning how to do it and constantly evolving.
It feels miserable.
It is so difficult. But now there's a lot of data and there are a lot of case studies,
Mm-hmm.
and I have actually been through it, and so I have a much better grasp of how to do it. And there's a recipe that, all of this data proves
Mm-hmm.
which campaigns are most likely to be successful, and so you can follow that recipe and set yourself up for success in a much smoother process than I followed.
Mm-hmm. So I assume if you're giving people advice on how to do this, that your crowdfunding campaign was successful.
Yeah, so we crowdfunded in January of 2014. That's when we launched, and this was for my next documentary, Brewconomy, which is all about North Carolina craft beer.
Okay.
Uh, we set our goal at $10,000 and exceeded the goal before the campaign ended.
Oh, wow.
It was fantastic. I did it once, we knocked it out of the park, and I've learned a lot since then. And it is very recent, so all of those lessons are very much burned into my memory, and I can help other people avoid some of the mistakes I made.
And I imagine it's one of those situations where success breeds success. Once you are able to fund that first project successfully and you get the product out and everybody can see the results and see that their money went to a good cause, the next time you raise money, you've kind of got, what would you say, like a built-in audience that it's going to make it a lot easier to try to reach your next goal.
Yeah, and this really helped me solidify an understanding of the fact that I have an audience. They were always there, but I didn't really recognize it or understand it. And crowdfunding helped me have tangible evidence that
Mm-hmm.
they are there, and they're very supportive and very encouraging. They come to the events and they watch my films and they share them with people that they know, and
Mm-hmm.
that is so touching. And I'm very, very lucky to have them, and I love my audience. Like, what is the point of making a film if you don't have people to watch it? There's the experience and the learning process, but I want to make something people want to watch, and
Mm-hmm.
it is very overwhelming.
Well, and you clearly love the filmmaking community too. If you're putting together this tool for them to help them get their projects off the ground.
Yes, I do. I have learned so much from my fellow filmmakers, and I absolutely love working with them. And they're like a family to me. And I don't want anybody to struggle as hard as I have. And there's no course like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm packaging everything I've learned so that people can succeed, because Hollywood is changing so much, and I think independent filmmakers are going to just rock it out. And so I want them to succeed, and I want them to improve their craft, and I don't want them to have to struggle the way that I did.
So you, after a successful crowdfunding campaign and all this research you had to do, decide you want to put it together into a package to help other people out. Tell us what the program is and what all you had to go through putting it together, because it seems like it was pretty long in the making.
Yes, it is. I've put so many late nights into it, and so much thought, and this also sounds cliche, but I've put so much love into it. I have looked at the entire process of crowdfunding and all of the things that you need to know, and I broke it down into different lessons so that it's much easier to digest.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, there's a prerequisite, and it's all about why are you crowdfunding? So
Mm-hmm.
that before you go down this path and before you spend countless hours preparing for a campaign, it's just a self-check to make sure that crowdfunding is what you need to do.
When someone starts your program, is it assumed that they already have a bit of a network started, that they're already familiar with social media and have a little bit of an idea of what they're doing, and they have a little bit of a presence built up, right?
Well, that's definitely helpful, but you can start from square one, and I will show you how but it helps to have a basic understanding of how Twitter works and how Facebook works, and even Instagram, just a general understanding of social media. You don't have to have 5,000 followers. You can have, a few hundred if you want, but just a general understanding of the basics of Twitter, like how do you tweet. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that, but I will go into a lot of detail about using social media to build your audience and how to not be a jerk on social media. Like, you don't want to start your Twitter account and the first tweet you send out is, hey, crowdfund my film.
Right.
That's the wrong way to go. But this film does take people who are at the very beginning stages and shows them how to build an audience online long before they launch the campaign, so that once they launch their campaign, they're successful. And the course is, like I said, it's divided up, so there are prerequisites before you ever start to learn about crowdfunding. Then we talk about audience building, and then all of the work that goes into planning your campaign itself, all of the basics, like which platform to choose, because there are a lot of platforms right now, like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, how to set your fundraising goal, how to choose your backer rewards, all of those basics that can easily overwhelm you. And then planning your promotions of your campaign, because a lot of the work that happens with crowdfunding is long before you ever launch. You can spend months and months and months prepping for it, and then once you launch it, you can literally work on it 24/7 in the middle of the campaign, which is totally exhausting, and you shouldn't do that.
All right.
Take care of your mental health while you're in the campaign, so helping you prepare for your schedule and how to set your phone notifications so you don't go completely crazy and you can actually get enough sleep. But the course is completely digital, and so you sit down, you join a member site, you download all of the videos, so you have lifetime access to it because you've downloaded it and take it with you wherever you want to go. The live component comes in with the private Facebook community. One of the things I really needed when I was crowdfunding is the chance to talk to other campaign managers. I had a very solid team helping me with the campaign, and I had a very solid fan base and really supportive family. But one thing I lacked was the chance to talk to other campaign managers. And so this Facebook community is a chance for all of us to learn from one another, but I'm there to help manage the conversation and keep everybody positive, and squash any self-doubt and keep people on the right path. So that's the live component of the campaign.
So it's mostly video courses. There is a community, and you do offer, some private counseling, I guess would be the word.
Yes.
You say it's a 6-week course. So if it's all online like that, is there a deadline for sign-up?
Right now there is a deadline. The registration closes on Sunday, September 21st. And
okay.
So that we can begin the course on Monday, September 22nd. And every Monday a new lesson comes out for 6 weeks. And I have a lot of bonuses built into it. So in addition to crowdfunding, there's a lot of extra helpful information built into it. So even if you are an independent filmmaker who's kind of thinking of crowdfunding one day, this is a fantastic opportunity to learn how to do it the right way, so you can start right now by building an audience so that whenever you're ready to launch, say it's 6 months or 8 months from now, you have everything you need and you've already started laying the foundation for it so you can be successful.
Right. Because so much of it is what you do ahead of time, right? Planning and preparing.
It is. There's so much work that happens behind the scenes. Just like filmmaking, you do all the pre-production for, good reason. It's so that when your actors show up and your lighting guy shows up and your audio guy shows up, everybody knows exactly what the plan is, so that when you get there on set, you use your time wisely. I've taken all the lessons of filmmaking and applied them to crowdfunding. You do all of the pre-production before you launch your campaign. I talked to a lot of filmmakers before I started building the course, and I talked to them about, what kept you from crowdfunding? What did you fear most? What was your biggest challenge? And a lot of it was the audience building. People thought they could just launch a campaign and money would come in, but it's not that easy, and nobody really gets a chance to see what goes on behind the scenes because we don't really talk about it. We are very passionate about the stuff that we work on. Filmmakers pour a lot of themselves into their work, and so if you don't succeed in your crowdfunding campaign, you can take that very personally, and that can have a devastating effect on your project. It's much more than lack of funds. It can have really serious negative side effects. So this course helps prevent that, because I don't want that for my fellow filmmakers. I want everybody to succeed.
With crowdfunding, a lot of times you're supposed to create a video or something to explain what you're doing, and especially with a film, you'd think that would be easy.
Exactly.
Is that something you go over in your class, is what kind of things you can do to help create a compelling video that shows what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so I talk a lot about how to prep your campaign video. There's so many aspects to crowdfunding, and I'm going to cover the whole thing. From the second you think, maybe crowdfunding's right, to delivering your last backer reward. I'm going to cover the whole thing. But the video is a huge part of it. And we are filmmakers, so we should act like filmmakers, right? If you have a campaign video and the content doesn't match what you're selling, you've got to make it match up. So if you are using a webcam for your campaign video, right, or you can splice it in there, but if you have a DSLR for your campaign video, you might as well use it. If you're shooting a horror film or you're crowdfunding a horror film, make your campaign video mirror that. You have all of these tools. You are a filmmaker. You should act like it.
Theoretically, as a filmmaker, you know a thing or two about showmanship. So if I go to someone says, I'm making a film, look at my Kickstarter video, and I watch it, and it's a terrible video, I think, well, what kind of movie does this person know how to make? You know, it's not so much, you know, if the director is not good in front of the camera. I understand that. We're not all necessarily, you know, the people behind the camera aren't necessarily great in front of the camera. But I need to be able to see that you know how to work a camera, how to make something compelling, how to tell an interesting story, and suck me into the video. Exactly.
Your video is it's like your business card. If you're a graphic designer and your business card looks terrible, people are going to be like, I don't trust you as a graphic designer because that doesn't look right. It's just it's a reflection of what you're offering, and it should be really damn good.
So you had wanted to, we were talking earlier, and you had wanted to talk a little bit about the price of the class. I guess first of all, you can tell everybody how much it costs, and then I guess how you arrived at that number, and then what I guess what value you expect people to get relative to that.
So the cost of the course is $495, and I say this with absolute sincerity and confidence. It will be worth every penny, because I will be your biggest champion, and I am going to be here to help you succeed. My lawyer made me say that that's not a guarantee. You have to do a lot of the work, and that's why I set this price the way that I did. I want people in the course who are going to give it their best effort, and so by having a little skin in the game, you actually are going to take a very conscious decision of how much effort you're putting into it.
Right.
And so I will deliver 3 times the value of the course, because I absolutely cherish my fellow filmmakers. I want them to succeed, and I've built this course out of love and appreciation for how difficult it is to be an independent filmmaker. You wear so many different hats. You have to think about the lighting and the legal aspects, and I mean, there's just so many different things to think about. And if I can make one part of it easier, then I'm so happy to serve in that capacity. Because once you crowdfund successfully, you feel like a legitimate artist. You feel like you have an audience that's backing you. You feel like you have, you know, if not all of the funds, you at least have some of the funds to make your film better. And you can improve your craft. And that improves independent filmmaking for all of us.
Right. And you know, if a course like this is a difference between meeting your goal and not meeting your goal, if it's the difference between raising $5,000 and raising $10,000, then certainly that's you know, that's your value right there. You also have to think about what is your time worth. If you figure your time is worth $25 an hour, to make back almost $500, that's 20 hours. And clearly a class like this is going to save someone way more than 20 hours of struggling and banging their head against the wall, and more time that they can spend doing productive activities. When you first hear it, it seems like a big number, but once you start thinking about the value you're going to get for it, it actually sounds extremely reasonable.
Yeah, it's, like I said, I'm going to deliver way more than the value of the course, because this is something I'm very passionate about, and I want people succeed.
And especially the amount of personal attention you're going to give. You know, like you said, what is it, the first 5 or 10 people who sign up get the free one-on-one?
Yeah, there's individual time, because, you know, it's great to have the course, but wouldn't it be great if you can ask questions, you know, and have direct conversation about your specific project, so you get the answers that you need.
Well, yeah, that sounds really good. And the deadline was the 21st, so that is
about a week, I think. So people don't have very long to make their decision. But the whole point of that is because the course is going to launch, and then the holidays are going to come around. And one of the things I learned is that crowdfunding during the holidays is not setting yourself up for success, because a lot of nonprofits are also asked, that is when they do their big push for asking for donations. So during December, you're going to come up against Santa Claus ringing the bell, and people are already going to feel like they gave enough, and they may not contribute to your campaign. So the point of the deadline for registration is so that you have enough time to learn this before the holidays come around, and then you can enjoy the holidays, and then in the new year you can crowdfund, so that you have enough time to think about it, learn everything you need, ask the questions that you have, and do the things that you can start doing right now, like tweeting and helping fellow filmmakers and stuff like that. So the deadline is very strategically set.
Okay. And is this kind of a test run? I guess if this one goes successfully, then you'll be offering more classes in the future?
Yeah, so I do have, this is the first time that we've run this course. I have a group of people already in there, and they are some filmmakers that I've talked to about crowdfunding, and they've already said such great things. They've complimented me on how much work and time has gone into it. They're so excited to be a part of it. They say that everything is beautifully designed, and they, like, just the value that they're already getting from it has proven that it's worthwhile, and that is something that people really need, and that's really rewarding to me. So if this one goes well, I might do it again. I might switch it up and offer something different. My goal is to find a way to serve my fellow filmmakers, to make it easier on them, because like I said, independent filmmaking is so challenging. So the next course may not be about crowdfunding, but if there is a demand for launching that course again, I will definitely do it.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I hope everybody goes to the website and takes a look at it, finds some value in it, and sign up for the course.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate what you're doing for our local community, and I'm a big fan. I appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll get you on again sometime. We'll have to talk a little more about brew economy.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.